offers a 9% preferred return and up to a 13% waterfall.
Where's the show?
Call us today at 281-915-0906 or visit our website, jbfundservices.com. That's 281-915-0906. This investment is offered to accredited investors.
Have you ever experienced the pain of trying to get MLS comps for your hot lead? If you've lost deals waiting for MLS comps, you can understand the frustration. How much would it help you if you no longer had to wait for a real estate agent to get you the info you need to close the deal?
Plane took off at 7:30. I got a picture of the storm coming in behind us as the plane is fluttering away.
To high equity lead lists and comps with access to a network of the top real estate agents. Get an edge on everyone else.
Planes are so small.
Get a free 7-day trial today by going to getmlscomps.com now. That's getmlscomps.com.
Those little planes.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal.
No,
like
we fly out of love.
You need a quick turnaround on quotes.
We're trying to get them to
binders,
fly
and
out of
the agency for that
Addison
is
because
Benchmark
that would be a
Insurance
lot
Group of
closer
Texas.
for us.
The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management experts. Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. 281-569-4353. That's 281-569-4353. Or online at benchmarkbroker.com.
You found or inherited a great investment.
Oh yeah,
property.
it's
The problem
sweet.
is you don't
Yeah,
know how
check
much
this
to
out.
earn, or more importantly, what to do to maximize your investment while mitigating risk. This is exactly
Yeah,
why we started
that's after we
Next
took off.
Gen
And then you can see it. That's the
Next Gen is a
weather.
group of appraisers
And so the little planes right there. I mean, we literally
We understand that
just
investors
missed
aren't
it.
just looking for a number of what their
If it's
properties
another
worth,
5 or 10
but
minutes, we'd still be in Dallas.
comprehensive analysis of the
Man, that is
Give Next
ugly.
Gen a call at 713-346-9911 or check us out online at nextgenappraisals.com.
Yeah,
Do you
we
have
drove
cracks in your
so
brick,
it didn't look
doors
like
that
that
stick,
at
or
4 o'clock this
sheetrock
morning.
that's coming
Oh yeah.
then you may
I'll tell you
have
what. If I
foundation movement.
on Monday,
Due
if
to
we didn't
expansive
drive up
soils in
Monday,
the
we would have
Houston
never
area,
made it to
probably not a question of
2020
if you have
It was
movement,
awful.
but when. Call Foundation Check for a truly
All right, how much time,
independent,
Nikki?
unbiased foundation
less than 2
evaluation.
minutes.
Less than 2
Foundation
minutes,
Check
okay.
has been in business since 2009 and has completed over 1,400 evaluations. We're not in the business of repairing foundations or selling you unnecessary peer work, but we are in the business of evaluating your foundation. Our product is designed for house flippers, landlords, or even owner-occupied properties. Each of our files is reviewed by a licensed engineer. Remember to check before every repair. Call 346-702-3825. That's 346-702-3825. Or you can reach us online at foundationcheck.com. That's foundationcheck.com.
Did you know that there are over $24 trillion in retirement accounts in the U.S.? Imagine if you could use someone's IRA to fund all of your
Nikki,
deals.
did you get their levels all checked? They're
you
good to
can.
go?
Quest IRA is based locally
Go ahead,
here in
have her
Houston,
talk.
Texas. At Quest IRA, we offer
my throat.
retirement
Hello,
accounts
hello.
that can be used to invest in
which-
real
let's see,
estate,
you're on
promissory notes, private
Jason, you're
entities,
fine.
and
Okay,
much
I'm good.
more. Many
Tiger,
of
you
our
wanna talk?
clients
Yep.
loan money from
Hello?
their
Can you hear me?
IRAs to fund real estate deals all
I have
over
a
the
soft
country.
voice, so
we don't sell any
you
investments
might
or
have to turn me up.
I
Hold
got
on,
you.
go ahead and talk.
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
Testing, testing.
Oh, a little bit higher, sorry.
Okay.
Let
That
me
should
keep
pro-
talking.
Yeah, that's good. That sounds good over here.
All right, have him talk one more time.
Hello? Testing?
That's good, that's good.
Okay.
All right, we're coming back.
Okay. Y'all are kind of quiet people.
We are quiet people. Yeah.
It's not like hanging out with Tom and Colby all the time where it's like, why are we always screaming, guys? Can we just be quiet?
Yeah. We're running
right,
on
y'all.
fumes too, so.
Stand by. Hot mics.
Yeah,
in
that's
5,
early.
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. Just got back in town, and it's Interview and Investor Friday. And I've got Erika and Tiger with me. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Tired.
Good.
Drove in early, so we're running on coffee right now.
Yeah, I'm running a lot of coffee. What'd you say? You left Dallas at what, 4 in the morning?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
about 4.
4. And are y'all early morning kind of folks or no?
No.
Not really.
No.
Yeah, we still get up early, but it's not
Yeah,
It's
easy.
awful.
We
Yeah.
force ourselves to.
Yeah. I was always trying to, because I thought, people really go get it. They get started at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I just I'm not doing it. If this is what it takes to be successful, I'm not willing to do it. So.
Yeah, I feel less productive.
Yes.
So, well, why don't you guys start out with what were you doing before you got into real estate, and then what was the decision that got you into real estate investing?
You want to take that?
Oh, sure. So I went and got my my license in radiology. So that was my dream. I wanted to be in the medical field because everybody says that stability, the medical field, that's great. But then I got there and I, excuse me, worked there for a few years and then realized that I don't like working for other people.
Yeah.
So a couple of friends of mine were investing in real estate, and I thought that was interesting. So I talked to him about it, and we just dove into it and haven't looked back since.
And how long ago was that?
But I left there, it was a year and a half ago.
Okay, so year and a half, you just decided this. You're not a joiner.
I'm not a joiner.
So working for the man, and you're like, this isn't really going to work for me.
Yeah, no.
And so she dragged you along, and what was your initial... So were you the catalyst in the whole thing? Like, let's do it, and then Tiger was like, "Well, hold on a second here." Okay, so because when you have the couples in studio, there's a unique dynamic because usually there's one that's like, "Let's do it," and the other one was like, "Well, hold on a second here, let's figure it all out." So she comes home one night and decides, "I want to be a real estate investor." And then what was your response?
Well, we both kind of sat back from the sidelines and watched our friends do it for a while, and we were both just kind of intrigued. So. She didn't have to really convince me after that. I was like, man, that's cool. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
So we were both kind of on board with it.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah. I didn't have a choice either. So we just dove into it. We went into some training and got some coaching and all that. And just dove in. Dove into the deep end. Yeah.
Okay. So everyone always remembers their first deal. So take us through your first real estate deal.
The first one. This was It was a small deal. We went door knocking. We partnered up. It was like our first month in.
Okay.
So we partnered up with some other investors that also went through the same coaching program that we did.
Okay.
And we joined up with them so they could kind of hold our hand through the whole thing and make sure we don't screw up. But it was a door knock on the pre-foreclosure list.
Okay.
And so the guy answered, and our partner kind of took the lead on it. But basically, all in all, he was like, "Well, you guys are the first to show up and offer a lending hand, so I'll sell to you guys."
Okay.
So we were like, "Sweet!" So signed a contract. We took it sub 2, and we ended up assigning that one to another investor for $5,000.
Okay.
So that was our first taste.
Pretty easy. That wasn't any fun. It's too easy.
I know. I wish they would all say that.
Yeah.
So I always love to ask the question: how many deals have y'all done so far in the last year and a half?
It's been a little over 20.
Yeah. A little over 20 deals. And most of those sub 2 wholesaling, what's kind of been your mix?
It's a good mixture of we were taught to just monetize every lead, so that's what we've been doing. So if it was a wholesale, we'd wholesale it. Or if it was a house that we liked, then we'd actually buy it and fix it and flip it. Or we'd do a sub 2 wrap. So it kind of just varied.
It just depended?
Yeah.
So I always love asking the question, what kind of crazy stories do you guys have? Because when you start doing a couple of deals and then you start, running into some wild deals.
You get some crazy ones, yeah.
It's not really the deals that are crazy. It's the people.
Oh, the people are always crazy. Yeah,
it's usually the sellers.
The real estate's never the problem. It's always the folks, right?
Yeah. We here recently we've had a handful of deals in the South Dallas, kind of the ghetto area. Mm-hmm. And with that comes, particular territory and
unique challenges. We'll use that as air quotes.
Yeah, unique challenges. So one of the ones we dealt with recently, she was an older lady, and I'm pretty sure she was on drugs. She had like the meth mouth and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but she was very skitsy, and she wanted to sell. She needed money right now, and
literally right now,
yes.
right. Like today, what do you got in your wallet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And man, she was, and it was an airship too, so that was even worse. We had to get the siblings involved, and apparently her and the siblings aren't on good terms, so it was family drama in the middle of all that.
Which, when you talked to the family was fine.
Oh yeah, they were fine.
They had no issues. It was just her.
Oh, there's always that black sheep, right?
Yes, yeah. And so because of the airship, it drug on probably 6 extra weeks. So it was like every day. I have our call log, and we probably had a good 115 calls or so from this lady throughout those whole 6 weeks, and every one of them's her cussing us out and this and that. Like, gosh.
Every morning the phone would ring. We're like, there she is.
Yeah. It was
cussing us out this morning.
Yeah. Every day. It was it's so stressful. So when we finally closed that one, we were like, thank goodness. You know? So that was a relief to get that one done.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So out of all of them, that's the worst, and that was one that was relatively recent, right?
Yeah, that was probably back in April or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about rehabs that have gone sideways? Any rehabs that you started doing and you're like, oh, I didn't anticipate this happening?
Nothing really too bad. I mean, we've been pretty lucky. Like I said, we started out doing a lot of wholesaling and stuff, so we didn't do a lot of rehabs at first. We're just now kind of getting into that. But so far, we haven't really had much bad luck on that yet. Knock on wood,
Yeah. The worst is really bad comps, ARV. We would get into it and we're like, well, that ARV looks a little different than when we bought it.
Yeah.
So
but as far as bad, like, treacherous rehabs or running into anything, we haven't done that yet. So that's exciting for me.
Yeah. And like I tell everybody, my favorite is when you're a new investor, you go after the house that needs everything because there's no surprises, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Everything. You walk in and go, wow, this thing's a big piece of junk. Perfect.
Yeah.
I can't screw this one up.
Budgeted for everything.
That's right. It's I'll tell you what, it's always those ones you go in and like, it's almost retail ready. And then you start doing it and doing it. We've got one right now we're probably going to end up losing money on. And it was another one of those deals. We walked in and we're like, it just needs a little of this and a little of that. And I'm like, you know what, guys, we're going to learn this lesson. We're going to keep writing checks for this lesson until we really learn it. So, what is it that you guys want to do now? So you started out, hey, don't want to really work for the man. Now we're doing this real estate investing thing. So what are your goals here over the next year or so?
To scale.
Yeah.
We really want to just kind of, our goal is to retire ourselves, hopefully to build this business as an asset that will retire us in 5 to 10 years. It'd be awesome. Because after that, we just want to go travel. That's what we've always wanted to do. So right now, we at that 20 deal mark is kind of where we were like, all right, we're kind of at max capacity. So how do we scale this up so we can do more volume, make more money, create a bigger business? And so we were looking at maybe trying to hire somebody. And so we looked at our finances and we were like, okay, we've done 20 or so deals. We've got a little bit of money, but it wouldn't support us bringing on somebody full time. So the money's not quite there for that yet. So we're like, well, crap, what do we got to do? So we went back and kind of looked at our numbers, and we're like, well, our numbers are decent, but we're screwing up somewhere. So that's when we kind of met you guys, and we're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. So now we're kind of shifting our focus towards higher end deals. We kind of realized that the lower end deals we were doing, they don't produce as much income. So it's going to be a little bit harder to scale over time. You can do it, I guess, but it's going to be easier if you make more money on these bigger projects. So we're now going to start shifting towards these bigger projects, with a little bit more margin in them, so that way we can kind of build up some money to hopefully start scaling this up.
Yeah, we find that there's this, I like to call it no man's land, and it's at that 20 to 30 deal a year mark where you're like, it's just you and a partner or you and your spouse, and you're like, how do I get past that, right? And then you start looking at, okay, well, what's our margin on these things? And, well, we can't really bring somebody on full time yet because we don't have enough revenue coming in to be able to do it. And that's when you start looking and you go, wait a second, they don't really teach this in any real. We're the only ones that really talk about margin and how to scale and all that other stuff. And that's when you start looking at things. You go, wait a second, what they're teaching out there doesn't really apply if we're trying to build something bigger, right?
Right.
30, 40, 50 houses a year, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because you start kind of kind of running out of time, right? Working 1 million hours a week and all that. So.
Yes. it's a full-time job.
Yeah, that's. Wait, you actually have to work in this business. that's a surprise for you. Mean you just can't sit at home and they mail you checks? It's like that's not really how it works.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, well, we're going to go to break here, and at the end of the break, we're going to talk more with Tiger and Erika. It's Interview an Investor Friday. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. Feel free to call in with your questions or put them here on Facebook.
Mic's off.
Let's see if we got any questions.
Have you ever experienced the pain of trying to get MLS comps for your hot lead? If you've lost deals waiting for MLS comps...
Actually, Ginger, it was a relatively smooth flight, if you can believe that. I think we were just out in front of it.
To get you the info you need to close a deal. Propelio is a brokerage website that gives you instant 24/7 access to high-equity lead lists and comps with access to a network of...
Hey, Jeff, somebody told me one time that the podcast actually has the best audio quality.
GetMLScomps.com now. That's
if that makes any sense at all.
Time is money in a real estate deal. If your insurance company is slow or non-responsive, you could lose a deal like that. You need a quick turnaround on quotes, binders, and the agency for that is Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas. The team at Benchmark understands the investor mindset. They know what you need and when you need it. It's there for you. Call Houston's leading real estate risk management experts. Benchmark Insurance Group of Texas, 281-569-4353.
Yeah, this makes your hair look awesome, by the way. So I just don't.
I got a hat.
Yeah.
BenchmarkBroker.com.
Are you looking for an
I just don't bother combing it anymore. Like between this and everything else.
I just throw a hat on.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Good to go.
Yeah.
742-9992 or reach us on the web at fasttrackremodeling.com.
Fast Track Remodeling
So did y'all pick up any deals or anything at that 2020 REI thing?
No, no deals. We were looking at kind of refinancing one of our rentals. So I talked to some of the guys at Noble. So we're looking into doing that. Pull some equity out, use that for marketing.
Okay. Which has helped us to create our 3 keys to success.
Yeah.
Use a detailed scope of work so that everything gets done.
Yeah, I wondered. I hadn't really worked that crowd before.
So it gets done right.
See if there's a lot of wholesalers and that sort of thing. I talked to a couple of them, but
managing it yourself. No more
seems
doing
like it's
the
a
work
lot of
yourself.
new investors.
Fast Track
Yeah,
Remodeling
it is.
doesn't
Yeah,
manage
it
at
is.
all.
So give us a call today at 832-742-9992.
I think about half are kind of kicking the tires, and the other half are trying to do some real estate.
Yeah.
There's a small handful that actually do a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like it is down here, right? Where you get the I'm still learning.
You've come to the right place.
For a year and a half now, and I'm like, well, you might want to think about buying some houses. Yeah, don't get in a hurry.
Our goal is to give our borrowers and referral partners.
I'll never forget these 2 ladies I met. They were learning for 7 years.
Oh my gosh!
It was the first real estate event I ever went to.
Company concentrates on building those teams who operate with structure,
so how many houses do you have?
And recognition
we're just
for going
now,
the extra mile.
We're still learning. I was like, oh, well, how long are you doing that? 7 years.
Home purchase ever.
I said, why are you
Give
here?
Us a
She
call
goes, I love the
today
message.
to find out the
it was like church to them. It's a great
Jennifer
message.
Hernandez,
I just thought,
the Hernandez
so
team
weird.
at
That's
Legacy
funny.
Mutual
That's when I
Mortgage.
realized this industry was weird.
Jennifer.legacymutual.com
It's strange.
Or call 713-579-3611. Again, jennifer.legacymutual.com. We can't wait.
Oh my gosh,
to consult
Chris
with you
Johnson
soon.
is watching.
NMLS
Everybody get on your best behavior.
514497.
Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS 514497.
You found or inherited
He's
a great
Facebook
investment
famous here in
property.
Houston.
Problem is,
Oh,
you
yeah?
don't know
Yeah.
How much it's worth, or more importantly, what to do to
Is this who you
maximize
call
your
Mr.
investment
Famous?
on
Oh, no, Mr. Famous. Let me see if Mr. Famous is here. I
Next
don't
Gen is a group of
see
appraisers specializing
Mr.
in
Famous on
investment
here.
real estate.
Usually he's on
We
here.
understand that
That's
investors
Mike.
aren't just looking
Mike
for
is
a
Mr.
number of
Famous.
what
We
their
even got him
property
a.
is worth,
He's a
but
real
comprehensive
quiet guy.
analysis of the market.
That's why we had to do a
Next Gen
video
call at
testimonial because he's like, I don't get in front of people. We had him on the radio show one time.
Check us out online
He's not a radio
at
guy.
Yeah.
So we started teasing him, calling him Mr. Famous because now we were trying to make him famous, right?
Yeah.
And so we actually got him a name badge that says Mr. Famous on it. We make him wear it to all the events. Of course, people walk up to him like, who's Mr. Famous? Like, this guy's got to be so full of himself, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you don't know me? So it's kind of funny.
Call us today at 281-915-0906 or visit our website, jbfundservices.com. That's 281-915-0906.
We're starting to notice that my name sticks a lot with like marketing and stuff. Like Tiger, like we have people call, they're like, "Who's Tiger?"
Like it's me.
That's me. Like I called because I like your name.
I love it.
Yes.
And look for us on Facebook
Hot
Live
mics in
at
5, 4, 3,
facebook.com/rightpathrealestate.
2, 1.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. I'm here with Tiger and Erika, and we're talking a little bit about branding. You're Tiger. They're like, I got to call this guy and sell him my house, right?
Yeah, we've had that a couple of times. So we're now starting to put that on our marketing piece, like, call and ask for Tiger.
I like it.
So people see Tiger and they're like, I like that name. So it stuck out to me. I called you. We're like, yeah.
Well,
and then you wonder, is there anybody that doesn't like it? And they're like, I'm not calling this guy, right? I don't want to talk to this guy.
Yeah, I know.
We always use names on our marketing pieces that could be a man or a woman. My favorite was Pat. So it was Pat, and then when you call Pat live, they all answer, oh, this is Pat. And they're like, oh my gosh, you sent me a postcard? And they're like, yes, I did. So do you have a house for sale? And then they start going through the whole script. But too funny. So when you guys first started out, what was the type of marketing y'all were doing? I know you said you were doing some door knocking. I tell people it works, and we got people in our group that are doing door knocking, and it's so funny when I first talk with a new real estate investor, like, that doesn't work. I'm like, trust me, it works. You know anybody has a house for sale? So talk a little about some of the first marketing efforts y'all had.
Well, we had no money when we started, so that's what we did is we would go out and door knock, and we would also find driving for dollars houses, and we would door hang those and put them on a mailing campaign.
Okay.
And so that's how we got our first really great deal was driving for dollars. But that's just how we started, and it works out great too, because if you do go door knocking and you get into somebody's house, then you can ask to see all their mail pieces, and we would go through all of those, and that's how we came up with he did our best mail piece yet for the foreclosure list, and we got great deals off that mail piece.
Excellent. We get in the group, we've got so many people, we get all this mail in. So I just started scanning it and just uploading it to our site, and I'm like, you guys just pick one. Here's 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things and you touched on it, Erika, was you go from, when you're knocking on doors, you go from a marketing appointment. Well, I shouldn't say marketing, but you're going from marketing to a sales appointment. You're knocking on the door, somebody's there. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I buy a house in this area. Know anybody interested in selling a house? And they go, yeah, maybe I need to sell my house because my house is about to get foreclosed on. You go, really? I didn't. I assume that's how y'all led. You didn't knock on the door and said, hey, you're getting foreclosed on. Sell us your house. So how does that work?
Well, that's how we started was we would door knock and we would say, hey, do you know anybody that's selling their house? And they would say, no, and shut the door.
Oh.
Yeah, so we kind of experimented with it for a little while, and we started actually kind of calling it out. Not them personally. We just kind of said, hey, I noticed this house is on a pre-foreclosure list.
Oh,
Has anybody talked to you about your options?
This house, not you.
Yeah.
This house, yeah.
So we used that, and that worked a little bit better because, we kind of already addressed the situation, and it was confrontational, but not too confrontational. Yeah. So then that would get them talking to us about it. So we'd still get doors slammed in our face and death threats and all that, but eventually we'd have more people talking to us about it. So that worked a little bit better.
Yeah. How many times do you have where you go out and you meet with a seller and you give them, you have a conversation and they're kind of angry at you, and they call you back later and say, hey, let's see if we can get this thing sorted out?
That happened a couple of times. It's not often, but it did happen a couple of times. Okay. What it really took was us following up with them a lot. That's really what got us most of those deals, is just continuously following up.
Seems like when you go in there and you're kind of poking that sore, and they're like, stop poking that sore. And it's like, well, no, I'm really trying to help. And then, calling back, following up and saying, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And they kind of take, I don't want to say they bring the wall down a little bit. You can have a discussion about it.
For when I talked to somebody, he actually called me and cussed me out, and I sat there and I took it and I listened to it and I said, I'm just here to help you, yada, yada, yada. And so that ended, and then I followed up with him a week later and I said, I just wanted to see how you were doing, and he actually apologized, and it ended up being a short sale, so it wasn't that great of a deal. But hey, I mean, follow up. They're different people.
It's not like they're mad at you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you didn't do it. You're like, hey, I'm trying to help you out of this kind of deal, see if we can get this, to keep you from having a foreclosure on your credit report and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but that's fun. So you guys did a lot of door knocking, and then from there, it sounded like you found this magical mail piece.
Yeah.
So, and then it sounds like you did some mailing. So what did that first mailing campaign look like for y'all?
Well, we started getting into direct mail because we finally got a decent enough deal we made like $15,000, $16,000, something like that. And so we were like, all right, so let's draw back the door knocking a little bit because we were getting exhausted. So we started implementing more direct mail.
Important note for the audience. Y'all are in Dallas.
Yes.
And it gets a little warm there a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
So
the AC went out on the car too. So I was like, dude, I'm so done door knocking.
So you can't even jump in the car and just, all right, let me get in here, cool off, and then knock on some more doors.
Yeah,
okay,
that didn't happen.
So that's when you go, all right, honey, we're done with this door knocking thing. Let's make the postcards do the sweating, right?
Yeah. So we did that. We actually used George Roddy's list, the pre-foreclosures, notice of trustee sales. So they all had, roughly 30 to 45 days before they're getting foreclosed on. So we'd mail them. We just mailed to the highest equity ones that we could find, just estimated equity. And then we'd probably mail to them maybe twice or so. And that's kind of what we did with the pre-foreclosures. In the meanwhile, we used the rest of the money that we made also to implement like other lists and stuff. But for the pre-foreclosures, that marketing piece worked pretty well.
So you're marketing them pre-foreclosure, and then they go to auction. Did you follow back up to see if they actually went to auction, or what did you do there?
If they called and then became a lead at that point, we would then follow up and see what happened. But other than that, no, we wouldn't pay attention.
Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting to see which ones actually go. I mean, they get their date, but which ones actually make it to foreclosure and get auctioned off versus those that don't.
Yeah, it is.
Did y'all ever buy anything off courthouse steps?
No, we never did that.
No,
we tried to sell stuff at courthouse steps.
Oh,
It didn't work out too well. So everybody there was wanting to go bid. So I don't know if it was just they just wanted to go play the game. I was like, we got this great deal here,
Yeah, and they're like, no, you don't understand. There's all these great deals that they're auctioning off today, and you just sit there and go, oh yeah, you are going to learn your lesson pretty soon here. Yeah. That's we have not done anything at auction before. Well, except for buying back some of our own properties, but we have never gone out and bought them. It's just I've heard too many horror stories.
Yeah. It's crazy what they go for too. They're going there's some of them going like over 100% of what it's worth.
Well, we've got a friend of ours that runs a fund, and he buys in DFW and he buys in Houston, and he'll buy 50, 60, 70 houses a month in each market. And when I look at what they're selling for, they're not a deal. I mean, the reality is they're a little less than retail.
Yeah.
But if you look at how these hedge funds and these REITs are operating, I mean, they're getting free money from investors, and it's really kind of a joke, to be honest. I don't know how much real investing is getting done, but in fact, on some exciting news, if you guys are watching what's going on in the big single family world, there was a merger announced between Invitation Homes and I can't remember the other one. They're gonna combined, they're going to have a portfolio of 83,000 houses, so they're all rentals. Wow. And you know what's interesting? That sounds really big. When you look at Houston, we sell 120,000 houses a year, and I haven't looked at DFW's numbers, but it's probably pretty similar. And you think 120,000 houses, they own 83,000. You're like, wow, that's really big when they own them in a couple dozen markets. Like, it's not really that many houses, right, in the grand scheme of things. I heard... I was chatting with some folks last night during our base camp meeting, and they were at a meeting on Saturday in DFW talking about all of the hedge funds that are going in and buying assets in DFW. And I said, it's not that many. When it really get down to how many houses are for sale, it's like it's really not that many.
Yeah.
So what tips or what advice would you guys have for the new investors, somebody just starting out? What's one thing if you knew then what you knew now that you'd share with someone who's just starting out in the business?
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. Money helps. So
it does help.
That's something, because we got in hearing oh, you can do this with no money and no credit, and it makes it a lot harder.
You can, but it's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Be prepared for a beating.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So gotta need some money and credit. What else?
Yeah, market. You got to market. You got to keep that pipeline full. That's the key. That was probably our biggest challenge at first, is how do we keep that pipeline full? So, and we didn't have any money, so it felt like an even bigger hurdle for us. So that's why we did a lot of door knocking.
2 minutes.
So yeah, I'd say market, either with time or money, and keep that pipeline full.
Yeah, it literally is all about the marketing. And if you've got enough leads coming in, you can figure out the sales process, right?
Yeah.
Just sitting in the living room, bonding rapport, making an offer. But if you don't have enough leads coming in, if you're not knocking on enough doors, you're not meeting enough people, you don't have enough opportunities to get better at that skill.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's about being there at the the right time, when they need your services. And we've noticed that too. When you come across a motivated seller, I mean it's not a difficult sell. It's it's just trying to find those motivated sellers and getting in front of them at the right time is what kind of keeps you alive. So
I think one of the reasons that our group attracts folks like y'all who've been doing this for a while and then join the group is because it's hard to explain to people. You're looking for people who value time over money. And you're like, okay, well, what does that look like? Like when you sit down with a seller who's ready to make a decision, this isn't like a 5-hour long discussion and 50 phone calls back and forth. I mean, it's like, yep, got to sell the house.
Yeah.
I'm getting kicked out. Auction's 2 weeks from now, and so what are we going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally that process. And one of the things reason that marketing is so important is getting in front of them at a time they're ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
That's why you've got to, like you said, you've got to fill that pipeline because you don't know when they're going to make that decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, there's all this competition out there. There's really not. It's getting in front of them right at the same time that they're ready to make a decision. So, all right, we get back from the break. We're going to talk more with Erika and Tiger. It's Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate. If you got any questions, now's a good time to ask them over the radio or on Facebook. Let's see if we got any questions.
Mike's off.
Do not.
Man, we're just boring, I guess.
You know what? A lot of people just like to listen.
Yeah.
I was chatting with a buddy of mine. He's been doing radio for like 25 years, and he said maybe 1% of your audience will ever call in.
Yeah.
But he said in financial shows like yours, he said it's 10, 20 times lower than that. He said you're just not, because nobody wants to call in and feel stupid, right?
Yeah.
So he said it's kind of tough. So you're only going to get a handful of phone calls even in an entire week.
Yeah.
But we've noticed on Facebook, we'll get a lot of questions that come across Facebook because you don't feel stupid on Facebook. You're right. Like, hey, answer this question, right?
Right.
If you're not familiar with Quest IRA,
yeah.
let me tell you what you're missing.
And I'll tell you the other thing we had to start doing is Tom and I would always forget to give out the phone number. So now we have an intro that says, "Hey, call the guys at this number." So
it's on the. I think it comes on the text too, right? That comes across. I think the number comes across. I think I accidentally almost called y'all the other day.
Oh, they must be there, right? Hey, what are you guys doing?
Butt dial.
Oh, it does. It is on there.
IRAs.
That's cool.
Or visit our website at questira.com.
Have you ever experienced the pain of trying to get MLS comps for your hot lead? If you've lost deals
love
waiting
this
for
commercial.
MLS comps, you can understand the frustration.
It was
How much would
Propelio?
it help you if you no longer had to wait for a real estate agent
Hot
to get
lead.
you the info you need to close a deal? Propelio is a brokerage website that gives you.
We have that
instant
joke. You guys have probably
access
seen
to
that Glenn
high
Gary,
equity
Glenn
lead
Ross,
listing
right?
comps with access to a network
You got to
of the
see that
top
one
real estate
scene.
agents. Get an
It's
edge on
the
everyone
rest of
else.
the movie's
Get a
terrible,
free 7-day
but it's
trial
that one
by
scene
going
with
to
Alec Baldwin,
getmlscomps.com now.
and
That's
they start
getmlscomps.com.
joking about premium leads.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whenever we have our sales meeting, we've got our deal meeting actually at 11 today. One of the sales guys always start, "Where's the premium leads? Where's the premium leads, man?" I'm like, "We don't have any." They're all, and then that's when I tell them, "Guys, they're all premium leads."
Yeah.
They sent me a text this morning. They got 7 houses in 11 days. I'm like, "That's not bad.
Sweet.
Keep
That's
going,
awesome.
guys.
Yeah.
Don't stop. You're not.
That's awesome.
Cut that out."
What did y'all get? Was it last month? Y'all had like 10 in 10 days or something like that?
It was a month before that.
Are
It
you
was
looking for an investor-friendly
12
general
and 10
contractor
days
for
or
your
something,
investment
something
property?
ridiculous.
Then
It just
call
awesome.
Fast Track Remodeling at 832.
Well, it's funny. We get these,
742-9992,
and that's what I
or
when
reach
I
us on the web
in
at
the group when I tell everybody, I'm like,
fasttrackremodeling.com.
you'll have, and you guys probably see it now, where you have these months that are just like, especially where y'all are at, you have months where there's 0,
Yeah,
right?
those are scary for us.
And then 0, and then you'll get 5, and then
Yeah.
you'll get these 5, and you're like, running
Yeah.
around trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
And then it'll go to 2, and you're like, and then it goes to 0, and you start freaking out, and then 6, and you're like,
Yeah.
So it's
it's constantly like that.
And as you grow, the hard part is stabilizing that. Like that's our big problem. Because if you really look at our break even is around, depending on how much revenue we get for the deal, somewhere between 4 and 5 houses a month.
Okay.
So like last month, we did 5 or 6 houses. So it was almost like a break even.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
this month we'll do 12, 13, 14 houses.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's why I tell people, like, you can only measure inside a quarter. You can't measure month to month because you'll pull all your hair
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that makes sense.
financing
1 minute.
are still
And if you look at
available,
your sales
just have to know
cycle,
where to look.
you
Look
know,
no further than Noble Mortgage.
This is, like I
Noble
said,
Mortgage
this is
a
why our
full-service
class makes so
mortgage
much sense to
company
people who've
that's
been in
been
this and
helping
not
investors
people
since
who haven't
2003.
done
Noble
it
Mortgage
before.
offers up to
You guys
100%
know,
financing to investors
you knock on
that
someone's door
covers
and have an
purchase,
initial
repairs,
conversation.
and
When do you
closing
finally
costs.
put that under
In
contract
addition
to
to
close?
private money,
It's not
Noble
30
Mortgage
days.
offers
A lot of
conventional
times it's
loans,
45, 60
FHA,
days.
and
And that's someone who's ready to go
no-income documentation
right now,
loans for
right?
both
So the
residential
sales cycle in
and
our
commercial
business is about
properties.
90 days.
Call and ask
The
about
problem
our
is the
5-point
bills are due
guarantee,
what?
which includes
Monthly.
free
Right.
proposal
So
options within 2
the biggest
business days.
challenge in that
Call
when you're going from that 20 to 30 houses and
713-680-8100
up is
or visit
not only making
noblemoney.com.
more margin, but
That's
stabilizing that
noblemoney.com.
growth
Our team has
and being
over
able to
50 years
reinvest so you go
experience
from
in the
20
mortgage
to
industry.
30 to 40
Call
to
us
50.
today,
Yep.
713-680-8100,
That's kind of where we're kind of getting caught
or
is,
visit
you know,
us
because
on
we
the
had
web,
those months where we had 0 deals, you know, 2 months in a row. We're like, crap, you know, if we don't get a deal this next month, I mean, we're out of the game.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're getting scared.
Yep.
But luckily it worked out.
This is business.
All right, y'all, we're coming back.
Okay.
Call Jason at 713-785-1817
All right, everybody. Hot mics in
and look
5,
for us on Facebook
4,
Live
3,
at facebook.com/RightPathRealEstate.
Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate, Interview and Investor Friday. I've got Tiger and Erika with me, and it looks like we got some questions. I don't want you guys to see it. I hope you studied.
Yeah.
Let me.
No pressure.
Jamie says, so y'all are willing to share what's on that magical marketing letter? Oh, they want to know what the magical marketing letter is. So
I figured that was coming.
Yeah. It probably says, we'll buy your house.
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Ginger says, should I door knock an absentee owner's door? Don't think my mailer is getting opened. Haven't done any of door knocking yet, but going to start doing some soon. So did you guys do any absentee owners? Non-owner. I like to call them non-owner occupants.
Yeah. We never did that. All we really stuck to was the highest motivated sellers, so we could have the highest and best use of our time. So we did pre-foreclosures.
Yeah, pre-foreclosure owner occupants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we never...
Well, when we first started, we didn't really pay attention to that. We just went and knocked on every door that was around there that was going into that was on the pre-foreclosure list. So sometimes, you know, when we first started, it would happen, and you would get tenants freaking out, going, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, we did do that a few times. We're like,
"Oops,
sorry, bro."
Yeah, but I mean, in some cases, it did help us because the tenants were nervous because their house is going to foreclosure, so they'd call the landlord. The landlord would call us mad, but now we got his contact info.
Yeah,
so now we're bugging him every day.
That's right. Yeah, we've had situations where the landlord, it looks like a non-owner occupant. It doesn't look like it's non-owner occupied on the tax rolls, but that house is still getting the mail for the owner, and they'll get. We've had it happen with taxes and with pre-foreclosure from the mortgage company, and the tenant is getting all this stuff. Right, and the tenant's like, I don't know what's going on, but it looks like this house is going to get sold. So
one of our best deals actually came from the tenant opening our mail piece and calling.
Yeah,
interesting.
That's how we got our sweet rental.
Really? So called you guys and then said, "Here's my landlord's contact info." And
and the landlord was actually her sister, which lived in Mississippi. So it was almost like a sub too. She's supposed to be paying the mortgage, but they never transferred title. And then she lost her job, stopped paying the mortgage, and
I like to call that the reluctant landlord. Did she buy it as a rental property? Or did she live there and move?
She lived there and just moved.
That's right. Yeah. I tell people that non-owner occupied stuff is awesome, and they're like, and everyone thinks they're like all these professional landlords out there that really know what they're doing. I'm like, most of these people have no clue what they're doing.
Right.
And the house just finally gets to the point where they're like, I need to sell it. It's a house I owned. I moved out of. You know, now my sister's cousin's best friend's living there, not paying rent.
Yeah.
Like that happens all the time.
We actually just bought one again, just like that. So that was the same thing. It was a landlord, and she had family living there, and she didn't live there, and she's like, I'm just tired of it.
Yeah,
like, sweet. I'll buy it.
So you guys in their DFW market, if I'm a wholesaler or a seller of some kind, and I want to get in touch with you guys to sell you a deal, what's the best way to get in contact with y'all?
It would probably be our email. We both have we share the same email. We always check it regularly. It's going to be tebproperties@gmail.com.
So TEB
as
Properties.
in Tiger Erika Butler.
There you go. TEB Properties@gmail.com. Perfect.
Yeah.
Any other parting words of wisdom for our audience?
Market. Just go out there and market. And don't give up. It's hard. Just keep going.
Yeah. And now is a perfect time of year to to lose weight and door knock because it's just a great time of year. So, well, thanks so much for being on the show, guys.
Thank you.
And this is Jason Bible, Right Path Real Estate, and I will see you guys bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Monday morning at 9 a.m.
All right, y'all. Have a good weekend.
All right, thanks.
Cool. Yeah, bye.
Quick, huh?
Yeah.
That's super quick.
You've been listening to Right Path Real Estate Radio.
Hear it later on Facebook.
That's Right Path